ज़्यादा
अस्सलाम वालेकुम बेटा, कैसे हैं बेटे?
ठीक ठाक से। أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. وإذا قيل لهم اتبعوا ما أنزل الله قالوا بل نتبع ما ألفينا عليه آباءنا أولو كان آباؤهم لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون. ومثل الذين كفروا كمثل الذي ينعق بما لا يسمع إلا دعاء ونداء صم بكم عمي فهم لا يعقلون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم واشكروا لله إن كنتم إياه تعبدون. إنما حرم عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل به لغير الله فمن اضطر غير باغ ولا عاد فلا إثم عليه إن الله غفور رحيم. إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزل الله من الكتاب ويشترون به ثمنا قليلا أولئك ما يأكلون في بطونهم إلا النار ولا يكلمهم الله يوم القيامة ولا يزكيهم ولهم عذاب أليم. أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى والعذاب بالمغفرة فما أصبرهم على النار ذلك بأن الله نزل الكتاب بالحق وإن الذين اختلفوا في الكتاب لفي شقاق بعيد. صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah Ali Baba. May Allah bless you. Very good recitation, mashallah. So today, the ruku we are starting, some very important topics are covered in this. Ya ayyuhan nasu kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiban. O you people, eat or consume from what is halal and tayyiban from this earth. وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُمْ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. And do not follow the footstep of shaitan, because he's an obvious enemy of you. So here, what is permissible and what is not permissible, it is described in this ruku. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that consume or eat from whatever it is halal and tayyib. Halal is what has been permissible by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And tayyib, some ulama have pointed out, it could mean that it is what has been acquired through halal means, through honest living. So, anything, a fruit that might be halal, but, somebody had bought it from illegal income, from income that has not been earned so it is halal. It is halal to eat an apple, an orange, but the money he is using to buy those fruit and vegetables is not from the halal sources, so it is not tayyib. So some of the scholars have said that it has to be halal and tayyib. So the food you are consuming, it has to be halal, and it has also be tayyib. Tayyib means it has been acquired from the income that has been earned lawfully. So they used to, our forefathers, they used to take utmost precaution what they were consuming. There's one incident of Imam Abu Hanifa, that he was a cloth merchant by trade. He had a store in which he would sell clothing. And one day he lent money to somebody. And when he lent some money to somebody, so the person was a little bit delayed in repaying by Imam Abu Hanifa. So Imam Abu Hanifa, he went to his house and knocked on the door. And it was a little bit delayed when the person who had borrowed money came out, and he saw Imam Abu Hanifa. He's standing in the middle of the midday sun, and he was all soaked in the sweat. So that person said that, sorry for coming late, but to the door, but you should have stood in the shadow of the wall. Why are you just standing in the middle of the sun? So Imam Abu Hanifa said that, I had lent you money, so if would have stand in the shade of your wall or your house, that would have been the sood, or that would have been the interest collected from there. So they did so much, precaution, that not only their food was halal but tayyib. Another incident of Imam Abu Hanifa is that one day he was on his store, and what happened? He had to leave the store, so he told his servant that, I'm leaving, so if you sell anything, just keep a record, I will come back. So Imam Abu Hanifa went, and when he came back, so he asked his servant that, did you sell any clothing? So he said, yet I sell such and such clothing with such and such price. So Imam Abu Hanifa realized that his servant had sold the cheaper cloth for the higher price, that look two cloths that look very similar. So he said, no, you sold less expensive cloth with a more price. So he asked for the physical description of that person, and he went out in search of his customer, and he found that and repay him the difference for the two different prices of the cloth. So such was the importance given on the halal and tayyib. And if you look at this world around us, like most of the people, most of the illness or most of the evil things that you see around us, it is because people have lost the sense of earning halal and tayyib living. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues in next ayat, إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالسُّوءِ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about shaitan in the earlier verse. He said that shaitan is your imminent enemy. And how does he work? He he whispers you to do the things which is not you know which are fasha, which are the bad things, and say the things about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they are not true. So that's how shaitan works, that all the previous nations that went astray, so he would come, like all the prophets who came before Nabi Sallallahu. Allah sent hordes of prophets who guided mankind to the monotheism and oneness of God. But when they would go away, shaitan will come and say things about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that people did not. He says that, okay, you're worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why don't you make a picture of him? Why don't you make any idol of him and then worship? And that's how he would make people astray from the right path. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or it will incite people for the fasha, which is sexual permissiveness, and so that's why in the hadith it is said that the bashfulness is part of iman. The haya, it is the word for that is haya or bashfulness in English. It is part of iman. So any society, when bad things happen, and so the first thing that goes away is the bashfulness or the haya of people. Only then shaitan can work it. So it is important that we guard our haya. That's why especially the ladies and the gents, that they refrain from anything looking at something that is shameful or bad. One of the Sahabi of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he and the Khalifa, Hazrat Usman, he was famous for his bashfulness or haya. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to say that even the angels would be, bashful of Hazrat Usman Ghani. And he had emphasized that bashfulness is part of iman. And a classic example was Hazrat Usman. So his haya was considered kamil. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمُ اتَّبَعُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ قَالُوا بَلْ نَتَّبِعُ مَا أَلْفَيْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا. So when it is said to now the reference is to the people of Al-Kitab, the Jews and Christians, that when it's told that what has been prophesied by the previous prophet, that Isa alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, and all the previous Yahya alayhi salam, that our Lord, the last prophet, is going to come and give all the symbols. But I would like to clarify this word alfina. Alfina means how they found it. So when it was said by Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that now the book has come, the Quran has come, now you follow them. So they say no, we will rather follow what we found on our forefathers, what they were doing. And here the subject is basically what is permissible to eat and what is not permissible to be eaten. So in the Bible, even to the Bible today, the Old Testament or New Testament, clearly forbid eating of pork. So, and the earlier Christians would not consume any pork. The reason for that, it was clearly mentioned. And Jews to this day, they don't consume they don't eat any pork. But how did pork eating started in Christians? It happened much later by a person which they refer to as Saint Paul. He said that it is permissible to eat a pork, and that's how it came. But in the original text, and also even to this day in Bible, it is clearly mentioned that eating pork is not permissible. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is further going on and saying that those people, they have been through the stubbornness, they went astray. And the reason for that is وَمَثَلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا كَمَثَلِ الَّذِي يَنْعِقُ. So that means they are the people they're calling the people, just like a shepherd calls his flock of sheep. So they are calling their statues and idols, and like the people of books who are supposed to be monotheists, they made the statues and they made their all the things. Like if you go to church today, you'll find the big statues of Isa alayhi salam, uh, Bibi Maryam, and they worship it just like. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, it is just they are calling, shepherd is calling. So this is the word yan epu. So when a shepherd calls his flock of sheep, so it is like that. They are worshipping lifeless idols. And if you talk to them, only you will hear back your own echo rather than anything responding from, the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya ayyuhal lazinu, ya ayyuhal lazina amanu kulu min tayyibati ma razaqnakum washkuru lillahi in kuntum iyyahu ta'budun. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is again saying that, when you eat from what is halal and tayyib, what is lawful and what has been acquired through the legal means or through the honest living. So eat that and be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And or only you worship him. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through his infinite mercy, he provides for both Muslims and non-Muslims. Even the most rebellious of all the people, like Pharaoh, Namrud, Shaddad, Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, they were the worst enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also provided them with food, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rahman. Rahman is the general mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now a Muslim also, when he consumes food, he is very thankful. He remembers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after we start with the name Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and what we eat, we say thanks, Alhamdulillah afterwards, and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his bounty. Because there are many people who are hungry in this world. So whenever you consume, and we should thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So among many benefits of fasting or keeping the rosas, that most of us, alhamdulillah, has never experienced hunger through poverty. But when we do our fasting in Ramadan, we realize how does a hungry person feel like. So this is the reminder that we should thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whenever you consume food, or when we drink anything from halal and tayyib. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in his next ayat, innama harrama alaykum al-maytata wad-dama wa lahma al-khanzir. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning three things. Allah has forbidden you the dead, the blood, and the khanzir, or the pork. Or wama uhilla bihi li ghayrillah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning any animal that has been killed without the like on him, when you sacrifice that animal, any other deity name has been taken. Then the latter part of this ayat, there's an expression that except for the people who are helpless, maybe if they are lost in a wilderness, or they are they do not have any food available. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that if somebody has an intention not to be rebellious, not to be overeat or something, so they can consume something to save their life. So somebody is lost in a wilderness. Some ulmas have said that 3 days of starvation. If somebody is starving for 3 days and they have nothing to eat, they can consume what is being said that is unlawful and haram, but they can consume just to save their life. This is a question, maybe hypothetical question I ask my Pir Murshid Musa Abdul Rahman Sahab, that oh Sheikh, that if somebody is lost in the wilderness, has nothing to eat, and he has some haram thing which is not permissible, and he refused to eat it and dies, what happens to him? Is he a pious person? Because of his piety, he refused to eat something that was haram, or he's considered he's a fatwa of suicide would apply because he had some food available to him, but he didn't consume. So Mamul Piro Murshid, he said that he will be died a very noble death because he has that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing that karaha or the unlikeliness of those food that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like it. So because of taqwa, he dies and refuses to eat. So he will be a martyr. So this is on a side note I like to mention. So it doesn't mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I would like to go a little bit further. This is very clear that maitata means a dead. So any animal you found in the wilderness which is dead, a person who goes out hunting and kills an animal and slit its throat and do the zabiha and say Bismillah Allahu Akbar, so that animal is permissible. But if you find a dead deer which is halal, but it is a dead, so you cannot consume it, it will be like a maitata or murdar in Urdu, or a dead thing. And there could be many forms of it. Like, you can find that an animal died its natural death. So a natural death, that the way we do the halal, which is, slit the throat and bleed out all the blood from the animals. So that's why that animal becomes halal, because now there's no more blood in that body. But if you found a dead, there could be many examples of that. Sometimes people tie their animal with their rope or something, and in some circumstances, it choke itself. So then again, it will consider a murdar or maitata, because it has not died the way by taking the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it has not been, his throat has not been slit like that. Another example would be an animal that is grazing on the mountain top or something, fell from a height and dies. That again will be considered a maitada. And there could be another thing that, if somebody takes his flock of sheep for grazing, and any animal like a wolf or a lion, tiger, they grab it and rip it apart. That again is maitada, because it didn't die the way it did. Or some other animal, like, usually these wild animals, they fight with each other with their horns. So if you find an animal that has been injured or dying, that it has been hit by another animal's horn and died, so it is against a maitata. Unless there are exceptions, and there are a lot of details which I cannot cover, that you found an animal which is injured and slit the throat and say Bismillah Rahman Rahim, and it is halal and permissible for you to eat and consume that. Now, what is said about that? Anybody's name, any deity, like for example, the word, I would like to say halal or hilal, like, when the new moon starts. So the sighting, the committee set, and it's called Ru'yat Halal Committee. That means it's a committee set to sight this. So the word halal has origin from there. That in pre-Islamic Arabia, whenever a new moon will be sighted, for example, the moon of Muharram or Safar. So what will these people in Makkah would do? They will grab an animal, and because of new, they will call it halal. Means they will cut the thing. So the word halal with ha and he would be interchangeable. Halal and so that is a new. Basically, the word hilal means the new moon, or the sighting of the new moon on the first day of the month, first eve of the month. So they will sacrifice. So this is the thing that they will say that, I'm sacrificing this animal on the name of their false god. They'll say for Uzza, for Lat, or for Hubal, and all that. This is haram, because you have taken the name of some other deity other than Allah. So this is also an argument with vegan and vegetarians. They say it is not good that you are taking an animal life, a chicken and a goat or a sheep or a lamb or a cow or camel, that and consuming tourism. But this is what halal means. You sing Bismillah Rahman Rahim, with the name of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the right to consume it in a human manner, to kill an animal for your own consumption. Those people who object to that, they say, they have all kind of the logic that uh, all the herbivorous animals, they have straight teeth, like cows and like sheep and like, camels. So naturally, a human should be a vegetarian, should not consume meat. And some people say that, uh, so this is the argument by, so our argument, Maulana Abdul Qadir Siddiqui Saheb is saying that we are different because we don't consume like, any carnivorous animal like a wolf. They have the canine teeth, and uh, this is the tool Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the animals. This is how they grab their prey and they kill it. So this is the tool. But human is different. So we do not need, canines and thing like that. We usually kill an animal through a knife or an arrow or, a spear. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made humans different. So anybody who's trying to compare us with those carnivorous animal, it is sort of an insult to human intellect. And human human is different from all the other creatures. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the permission. So those people who say, who believe in vegetarianism or veganism, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us permission to eat it. Now, I would like to give out another point. Those people, what about the Fatiha? When we say, okay, the money or the any food that we have acquired through halal and tayyib, through lawful, honest living, any money we have earned it, and we slaughter the halal animals, goat and lamb, and we do Fatiha, we do Kalmi Sharif, we do, Haja Sahib Urs and all that. So some people argue with that, you have taken the name of Mazallah, Ghairallah, and that has make it haram. So Maulana Abdul Qadir Siddiqui Sahib is saying that, it is totally against the teaching of Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because when we do Fatiha, it is according to the teachings of Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Of course, we would not kill any animal that is without the name of Allah. So when we say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, with the permission of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, we kill that animal, that take the life of an animal. Other than that, we humans do not have permission to take any life other than what has been permitted by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. But Isa Sahab is different. Or anytime you do it, such as the act of Qurbani. In the last Hajj, the Hujjatul Wada, Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam slaughtered many animals, and there's many camels, and he would say, "It is on the behalf of myself and my ummah." So this is the point, that he would say that this is from my behalf, and the people who say, like, and the Qurbani at the Eid al-Adha. So of course we would slaughter any animal in the name of Allah and with the permission. But we can send the Isal Sawab, or also the Farayat of Eid al-Adha, when every adult person, or his family members, which sacrifice an animal. So basically it's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you say this is for my son or my wife or for my deceased father, that is totally. So those people have the false argument that when you do the Isal Sawab, or slaughter an animal and send the Isal Sawab. And classic example of that, about Isal Sawab, is Hazrat Saad bin Abada. He was the prominent Sahabi of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or the companion of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. His mother passed away, and he came to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and asked for advice, that what should I do, so that my mother has sawab jariyah, or she should have the sawab or the benefit of the good deeds even when she passed away. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam suggested that you should have a well dug on behalf of her. So his mother had passed away. So his mother passed away, but Hazrat Ibadah, just to do the Isal Sawab, what he did, as advised by Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he had a well dug up on her name. So that was called the Rome of Saad, the uh, mother's name was Saad. So it was called the well of Saad. And so anybody who, you know, drink from it, the benefit would go. Another incident happened when Sahabi came, and he said that my sister, she passed away, and she had intention of performing the Hajj. So can I perform the Hajj on behalf of her? So Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked uh, uh, in turn that if she had some money owing to somebody, would you pay it on behalf of her? So he said yes. So Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam suggested that he should perform the Hajj on behalf of her. So this is the something people confuse and say that, you know, any Fatiha, anything done through the Isal Sawab, they say that, you know, and they quote this ayah that, you know, anybody's name is recited other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Isal Sawab. When we say that, you know, okay, from a deceased friend, you know, I'm dedicating this Fatiha and feeding the hungry or sharing the, you know. So they put this ayat and say that, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is clearly saying that, you know, do not consume any meat that in which where Allah's name has been mentioned. So there's a whole lot of difference. When we do the Fatiha, it is totally permissible, or the Isa al it's totally, or it is actually the sunnah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And anybody who's denying that is, and putting the, they, some of the people, they went to extreme length and say that anybody who's consuming the meat, he's committing a kufr. So Maulana Sahib is condemning that act. It says that when you put the fatwa of kufr on a Muslim, it is like killing a Muslim. Just like killing a Muslim means that, you know, you take away the most precious thing from a Muslim brother, which is taking his life. But Iman is more precious to a Muslim brother than his own life. So when you call him kafir, you're hurting him more than taking his life. So this is something people are very gun-ho to put fatwa that, you know, such and such. So Maulana Sahib is doing that. And now, as this goes, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَكْتُمُونَ مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ وَيَشْتَرُونَ بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا. Now, again, the address is Ahl Kitab. So Ahl Kitab, their dietary commandments was the same as, because even in the previous textures, the eating of pork was considered, you know, haram. But what changed them? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that, you know, they're hiding what is written. As I said, even if you read the Bible today, it is clearly said that, you know, do not consume pork, or, you know, do not consume anything from pig. So this is mentioned in this. So what they did, they, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that they sold their ayats for few benefit, for a very small price. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they are not filling their bellies except with the hellfire. And wala yukallimullahu yawm al-qiyamah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not talk to those people who are doing such an act, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not address those people, would not pay attention to them, would not do the talk to them. And wala yuzakkihim, that he will not purify them. Walhum azabun alim, for them is the severe punishment. أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى والعذاب بالمغفرة. So these are the people, or the people of Ahl Kitab, who hide about the dietary commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so what they have done, they have traded the misguidance over guidance, and they have chosen the punishment over the forgiveness. And how can they withstand the punishment of the hellfire? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed this kitab with haqq. And those people who are denying that, and it is because of their animosity, and because they have misguided, and they have their thing. So inshallah, we will leave it at this thing. Any questions, or, you know, any comments, inshallah, I'll welcome that. And sorry, before